Welcome to another episode of OG55. Today we are reacting to a Provost video all about Bob Iger. We are friends with Provost and his lovely wife. They are amazing people. We love their content. We're going to break this video down. Up next on Jeezy, Biddy, Easy. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55, to another world famous OG55 reaction video. We are today reacting to Mr. Provost Park Pass, great content creator, friend of the channel. Make sure you subscribe to his channel and show him all the love. Before we dive in, George is with us today, the Italiano. How are you today, George?
Doing good. Again, I always love doing these reaction videos with you. We get to spotlight other content creators on YouTube, but also, kind of giving our own interpretation of our thoughts on the content matter. So it's always a good time. Yeah.
We actually had a great reaction video that premiered today. It was George, myself, and a friend of the channel, Mr. King Park, and all three of us were reacting to a Hey Bricky video. Check that out. It is available for everybody right now. King Park is an amazing dude. We love him. He's been on the channel a couple times now. We want to have him on again very, very soon. But a really good time. So check it out. It's all about Star Tours. The future of Star Tours does have a place at the Disney parks. We're not so sure. But George, where can everybody find you on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
There we go. We do a little something over there called bar chats, which is what we take this format, but we go to a theme park at a bar and we have a few beers and we talk parks. Really, really fun stuff. So check that out for
Especially
sure.
our latest one that we did with the one and only Mr. Theme Park Wizard. We had a nice, fun but yet raunchy, risque chat over at Moe's Tavern at Universal. So that was a really good one.
Yeah, it was funny. Theme Park Wizard is an amazing dude and really great dude. Friend of ours for years, but we get into some crazy stuff on that bar chat. So yeah, definitely check it out over there at Citrico Central. All right, so we got Provost looking super dapper with his green shirt. We're gonna go ahead and play this. It's called "Did Bob Iger Lie?" Full Disney breakdown. Interesting. I haven't seen this yet. So
I actually haven't either. I saw bits and pieces, but not in its entirety. So it should be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's play it. And you know how we do it. We'll stop along the way, break it down.
Hey, everybody. Did Bob Iger just lie to us? No, not really, but kind of. Don't worry. I'm going to break this down and explain everything that happened in the shareholder meeting that just happened a few days ago. There's a lot going on, but before we get to that, you need to hit the subscribe button. Do that right now. Hit the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Park Pass and be part of this amazing community. That way, when anytime there's amazing updates or whatever, you will be notified first. And also, I'm going to be traveling this week to Epic Universe. I'm going to be able to see a sneak peek of this brand new, amazing, epic theme park. I'm going to show you everything I can, so you'll definitely want to subscribe for that. All right. So let's get into what exactly happened. What did Bob Iger say? Was it a lie? Was it not a lie? I'm definitely going to want to hear your comments down below on what's going on. But before we do that, I kind of want to do just a little bit of some business exposition so you guys can understand. There are really kind of like three terms I want you to be aware of. One is you kind of hear these buzzwords in business meetings. When I was in my professional time in the business world, you'd hear these a lot. One is optics, or like we have to have really good optics on this. The next is narrative, like we need to control the narrative. And lastly is the other word they use a lot is focus, right? We want the consumers to focus on this, pull focus here. And all of these are kind of valid words, but if you really strip down the layers back off all these words here on optics, narrative, and focus, really it's the good old misdirection. That's what you're trying to do. When you're saying you want to control the narrative, you're saying, hey, I want the client to look over here, Not over here. We just like talking about having really good optics. You're like, hey, let's look over here. Not over here. We don't want the client to see our seams. Or when you're pulling focus, you're pulling everybody over here, but not over here. And that really kind of happened here in the shareholder meeting that just happened on March 21st. So let me kind of tell you what happened. And you tell me, was this misdirection? Was this optics? Was this pulling focus? Or this changing the narrative? I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. So on March 21st, they had a shareholder meeting, and one of the questions that was brought up to Bob Iger was about the affordability of going to the Disney parks. Before we get to his answer, I need to explain to you what happened prior to this. In February of this year, February 2025, the Wall Street Journal ran an article saying that they felt that Disney was becoming cost prohibited for families to go and attend like Disney World or Disneyland. The prices were increasing at a point where the people couldn't attend. The very next day, Disney released a press release, this little like media press release saying that the parks are some of the most affordable that they've ever been. Obviously, this was a response to the Wall Street Journal, right?
Yeah, and it was a response. And here is the thing. And George, we've been saying this for a long time now. The parks division is on full blown. This isn't even a Bob Iger thing necessarily. The parks division is in full blown PR mode because Josh, who runs the parks division, wants to be the CEO. So they're doing everything under the sun. The water parks are open. The Rise of the Resistance cannons work. The Drippy Effect and Tower of Terror works. They're throwing everything and the kitchen sink at you to make him look good. Or at least that's, we talk optics. The optics, whether I could be wrong, but the optics is it looks like Josh wants to be the next CEO and he's doing everything he can to make his division look as good as possible. So when this thing came out about Disney outpricing families, next day, boom, out the door, a response. In years past, Disney wouldn't have even have bothered with this, okay? They don't care. They do this year, though, because the guy running the theme park division wants to look good, and especially for people reading the Wall Street Journal, because he's trying to impress the Disney board.
They're trying to make sure that the shareholders are still feeling good about it. But in the Disney's press release, they're saying, no. We have really good value. We offer an amazing value to our clients that come to our parks. I mean, if they go to like a concert or a sporting event, this is a really good value. So that was Disney's way of responding to the Wall Street Journal. But Lending Tree, they ended up doing a big, huge survey, and they found out that right now it's about 45%. This is a staggering figure. 45% of families that go to Disneyland for a Disneyland vacation or a Disney World vacation go into debt in order to go on this vacation.
Okay, now that right there, I will tell you that right there, that is the power of the Disney brand.
Mm-hmm.
You have families admitting, 45% of families admitting they're going into debt just to have the Disney experience. So when we hear a lot of stuff about how, people are tiring of the Disney brand. Disney isn't what it used to be. Honestly, that might be the case in 20, 30 years. I can't tell the future. But right now, people are still very much into Disney to the point where they're willing to go into debt just to go. What say you, George?
And not even to mention, because especially with me, I've been, since becoming a California local myself, I've been going to Disneyland quite a bit, since the end of, the end of November, moving forward. And I have to say, whether it's a weekday, whether it's like nothing going on, just a typical Wednesday, a typical Tuesday, it rain, shine, sunshine, like no matter what, the parks are packed. Right. And I remember I was talking to you on the phone when I was down there this last Monday. Now, Abby and I were in Hollywoodland, and I was like, you know what? It looks like it's kind of low capacity today, because we literally entered into DCA and went right into Hollywoodland. But then when we circled around to go into Avengers Campus and then out to where the pier is, where they have all the food and wine festival stuff, oh man, that was like a cluster of people. And that's when I text you, I was like, nope, I lied. I spoke too soon. It's packed over here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the parks are packed. The parks are busy. We see the pictures, the footage all the time. The parks are packed, despite all the complaining we see on social media. I'm not really on X anymore, to be honest with you. But like I see a lot, like even on Instagram, people complaining that like, you know, Disney this and Disney that and Disney this and Disney that. And then you go to the parks and they're just swamped. It's wall to wall, you know? And that's the frustrating part about the whole situation, because you should vote with your wallet. Okay, if you are not happy with the Disney experience, which I think a lot of diehard fans are definitely not happy with it, and normies too. There's some normies that are unhappy. Then don't go. Then don't go. The problem is too many people are complaining, and then they're taking a loan out or they're going into debt with their credit cards to freaking go on vacation there. You're not teaching Disney any lesson with that. Yeah, take that, Bob Iger. I'm going to go into debt for you.
Yeah.
And the debt ranges around, you know, and debt could be anywhere from a couple $100s to several thousands of dollars. But almost 50% of families that are going to Disney World or Disneyland are accruing some type of debt in order to have this vacation, and that's a really big deal. Now, what happened in Q4, fourth quarter of Disneyland? The attendance of the Disney World and the Disney parks, the attendance on all the Disney parks kind of dropped off a little bit. Disney's their four quarters does not coincide with the calendar year. A lot of companies do, but Disney's does not, which means their fourth quarter is really January to kind of March, right? That's their fourth quarter.
And to be fair, and Seymour, our good friend Seymour Duck, if you're watching this, comment down below, but Universal has also seen a little bit of a softening when it comes to attendance. So this isn't like an exclusively a Disney thing. There is a softening, it seems like, in the park industry in general. We have seen some softening over there for Universal Orlando. I know there's the Epic Universe element and all that baked into that. There's also economic concerns, but it's not necessarily just a Disney issue that we're looking at here. So just to put a little bit of context there, because it does seem across the board a little bit. So
I do have to say really quick, yeah, outside of like Disney or Universal, especially in the male community, softening is never a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, gentlemen, take care of yourself down there. You know what I'm saying?
Order the Q4, and their attendance in the parks has dipped down in that particular time. That could be a myriad of reasons why. You know, people maybe they spend a lot for the holidays, they want to spend more money, or whatever reasons. Maybe we don't even know why, but the attendance has gone down. And this is the Wall Street Journal's article is talking about maybe it's becoming unaffordable for families to go to Disney anymore. And then the Lending Tree put their thing out saying people are going to debt. And so this kind of has spooked a lot of the shareholders and the stocks. You know, Wall Street, Disney stock is going down. Well, this question was asked to Bob Iger on this shareholders meeting on March 21st. He was asked about is Disney kind of becoming addicted to these price increases, and has Disney started to price out the middle class families from attending the theme parks? Bob Iger responded. And remember, we talked about at the very beginning of this video, I talked about like optics. You have optics and you've got pulling focus and controlling narrative. And I think Bob Iger did a really good job. So what he did is Bob Iger, first he goes, no, actually the theme parks are like doing great. He's like, I went on a random weekday in March. This is what he said in the meeting. He's like, I went on a random weekday in March and Walt Disney World, and the park was very crowded. The parks are very crowded. And then he talked about these particular things that he noticed while he was on his visit into the Walt Disney World area on a random weekday. We don't know when it was. We don't have any photos of him in the park, but apparently he was there. And he said this, I think this is awesome. This is one of my favorite things I've ever heard him saying. He's like, Pandora was very busy. So was Galaxy's Edge. That was super busy. Guardians, Mission Breakout. It was Guardians,
Cosmic Rewind.
Guardians Cosmic Rewind was crowded. Tron was very crowded.
Really
Toy Story
quick
was
though,
crowded,
I have
and
to say.
so
Yeah, I got
was
you.
Disney Springs.
Shout out to Provost's lovely wife Amanda. You know, she's always there, you know, ready to with the facts and everything. And we got to record with her and Provost a couple years ago on the channel. So we would love to have them back on, you know, whenever given the opportunity. But they're really great to have a fun conversation with.
Yeah, no, 100%. I know Amanda likes Star Wars, so I'm always down to talk Star Wars. We got a lot of Star Wars happening right now, both in the parks and even outside of the parks with Andor season 2 and all that good stuff. So it'd be great to have her on and talk about all that.
And really quick too, of what Provost was mentioning about Bob Iger going like on a random day to Walt Disney World. I do believe he also did that for Disneyland, because our good friend Disney Scoops guy, I believe, posted a photo on social media with Iger, and he was over by Tiana's. And a lot of people were questioning, like, why was Iger there? There was like no special like media event or nothing was going on. He was just there as a random day. So I think he also did that for Disneyland as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all very crowded. And he was saying that. And I was thinking, like, what kind of pass? He must have had some amazing express pass because he went to all the parks except for Animal Kingdom. He didn't mention Animal Kingdom.
Pandora.
And he did do it. Yeah, he talked about Pandora. Yeah, he talked about Pandora. He talked about Guardians. That's Guardian Galaxy's Edge is in Hollywood. He talked about
Guardians is Epcot.
Good grief.
Galaxy's Edge is Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. Wow. I'm kind of like blanking out there. So let me restate this. He literally visited every park. He went to Animal Kingdom, talked about Pandora. He went to Hollywood Studios, talked about was it Galaxy's Edge. He talked about in Hollywood Studios. He talked about Tron, which is at Magic Kingdom. He talked about Disney Springs. So he basically talked about he went to every single theme park in one random weekday in March, and it seemed very crowded to him. So he feels like, hey, people are still attending at the parks.
Right.
Then he went on to say this, because they were talking about price increases. He went on to talk about how Disney is not really increasing their prices on all their tickets.
Okay. Here's one thing, and I can't speak for Florida. I can speak for Anaheim, though, because I'm a local here. I've only been to Walt Disney World once. The parks out here in California have been very busy. You're there a lot, and you can see that even on weekdays they're busy. Now, to be fair, they are busy. I'm not saying that they're not, but to be fair, the weekdays have been busier for Disneyland Resort than years past.
Correct.
Now, right, and that's, I think, at least in part due to the fact of the reservation system, because the reservation system, I think, might be funneling people into weekdays instead of weekends and things like that. So it is busy. It's robust the whole week, really. But the weekdays do seem busier. And I think that is partly because of that reservation system and people and Disney kind of funneling you into the Tuesdays and the Wednesdays, because those are usually lighter and they want to fill those gaps. So
yeah, I completely agree with that, because being that I do go often, I'm constantly on the website, booking, for reservations and everything. So it was the very end of March. It was like the last week, and all the days were open. And then all of a sudden, like overnight, you jumped on, and the whole week of the last week of March was completely booked out, and they were all weekdays. And the same goes for midway into April, like right before like the spring break block for Magic Key holders. It was open, then all of a sudden, poof, they were all gone, and they were all weekdays. And I do even remember a good friend on the channel, Dave from Fresh Baked. We did a reaction to him where he even said that he used to go on the weekends, but now it kind of, as you had used the term, funneled him into the weekdays because he's constantly blocked out of the weekends. Not that he's not blocked out. Right. He could get a reservation, but it's just very hard to. But to his theory is Disney is kind of maneuvering that within the system to push the Magic Key holders on the weekdays, so the weekends are saved for the day ticket holders.
Right, exactly.
That they have an offering for all the different families, and whatever family they want to spend, they have offering. And he talked about a particular ticket in Disneyland that has not increased price since before COVID. He's like, hey, we haven't increased this single day park ticket in Disneyland since before COVID. And so that was his big, he's like, hey, look, see, we have not increased this ticket price, a single day ticket price for Disneyland. And that was like, and that did soothe a lot of people. Now, here's what you have to remember. This is controlling narrative. He's talking about, they didn't increase this one ticket price. What ticket is he talking about? So Disneyland, this is Disneyland, their single day ticket prices is the most confusing of all the ticket prices. It ranges anywhere from $107 up to like $180, depending on when you're going for a single day ticket, like during a holidays, it's on a weekend. And this particular ticket that Bob Iger was talking about is called a Tier 0 ticket. All right. And it's true, the prices have not increased on this 0-tier ticket since before the pandemic. But what you need to know is this ticket is offered very limitedly. So in September, it's offered 8 days in September and only 7 days in August. And that's the only time this ticket's available right now is 7 days in August and 8 days in September. And that ticket price is not increased. And it's going to be on a weekend and weekday. And it's going to be when there's no festivals going on. And so when he says that they haven't increased ticket prices, really, like at Disneyland, this one ticket, yes, technically that is true. He did not lie to us. But all the other ticket prices pretty much have all increased. Everything else is increased across the board. So if you're buying like a 2-day ticket, 3-day ticket, 4-day ticket, those have all increased in prices, except this one really obscure ticket. And that's what he was talking about in the shareholders meeting.
Yeah.
Is that lying to us? I felt like it's not necessarily lying, but it is definitely misdirecting their narrative. He's changing the optics. He's pulling focus over here. He's making sure everything looks really good. So that way shareholders can feel like, oh my gosh, Disney hasn't increased their tickets since.
It's weird. Yeah, I see what Provost is saying. It's kind of almost like lie by omission, I guess, if you want to say that, because you're leaving out the other information. You're just focusing on that one. Here's the thing with Disney and pricing. Disney has always been like the priciest in town. Like I remember back in the early 2000s, I used to work at a mortgage company, and the mortgage company would give us deals on all the local theme parks like Knott's and Universal and what have you, but they would never do Disneyland. Okay. And I remember having these conversations with my coworkers in the early 2000s, like 2004, like 20 years ago now. And they were telling me back then, I can't afford to go to Disneyland. It's too expensive for me. This was back in 2004. You know what I'm saying? So Disneyland has always been expensive. It's always been kind of a luxury brand, so to speak, in the theme park world. This is really nothing new that, oh, wow, they're the priciest. They've kind of always been the priciest. Now, the new stuff that is, to be fair, the new stuff that has been introduced into this whole equation are like the lightning lane stuff and all that. So that adds to it for sure. That's something that we didn't have in 2004. So to be fair, but in terms of just generalized, like Disney has never been like the affordable option. You can always go to Six Flags and Universal for way cheaper. That's always been the case. But what say you, George?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Because if you go back into like the 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s, the way that times were with how value was like of what income cost was and everything and wages and everything, even though that we look back on that and say, oh, wages for the 80s and the 90s, expenses were way cheaper than now, but back then Disney was still expensive to that expense block.
It's all relative, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So if we look back into the past and say, oh, well, Disney was cheaper then, but when we were ourselves back in that time, it was expensive because it leveled out with everything else. So Disney moves with the times.
Right. I mean, out and here in California, if you were to go to Disneyland in the late 90s, say like in 98 or 99, yeah, your tickets you would look back at those tickets and go, wow, that was way cheaper than now. Well, yeah, it was way cheaper than now. But the minimum wage in California in 1999 was like $7 an hour.
Right.
It's now over. I think
so our 1999 selves are like, whoa, $99. That's like outrageous. Who wants to spend $99 where now people would give their left arm to spend $99 on a ticket.
Right. And you factor in inflation and all this other stuff. So yeah, it's all relative, but Disneyland at the end of the day has always been an expensive option. Always, every single time. You know what I'm saying? The other thing too that we have to remember is entertainment in general is expensive. Go to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Las Vegas. Go to a bar in Las Vegas and see how much a beer will cost you. It's going to be probably the same price as a Disney beer or probably even more expensive. Okay. Vegas is very expensive. Go to a concert, go to a Taylor Swift concert or Olivia Rodrigo. I mean, I tried to get tickets to Blackpink, and like to get a decent seat, it was like $800-900, $1,000 for like a decent seat where you're not like way in the back looking at a Jumbotron. Like this stuff is expensive. And those concerts are only a few hours. You're paying like $800 for like 2 and 3 hours. So, Disney is pricey, but at the end of the day, you get a lot for your money, though. At the end of the day, you're getting a full day's worth of entertainment. You're getting shows. fireworks, attractions, all kind parades, all kinds of stuff included in that. So it's way more encompassing than just, a 2-hour concert, you know what I'm saying? Or 2 or 3 hour sports event. Right. So yeah. Anyway.
2019, way to go, Disney. That's being awesome. But they've increased them considerably across the board, except for this one little teeny tiny ticket. And I just kind of wanted to break this down because I feel like a lot of people, I saw people saying, what is Bob Iger talking about? Ticket prices haven't been increased. Have they been increased? Am I losing my mind? What's going on? They have been increasing. Everything's been increased except this one particular ticket. So that is what's going on. I want you guys to be aware of that. Now, put it down in the comments down below. Like, what do you think? Is Disney getting to the point where it's getting cost prohibitive to go? I feel like it's getting very, very expensive. And I'd like to hear your guys' opinions on that and what you guys think about that. And make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'll be going to Epic Universe at the end of this week, and I want to show you everything I can. But for those of you who are possibly interested in going to Walt Disney World.
So a great video from Mr. Provost Park Pass. Excuse me. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I mean, I see what he's saying. It was typical corporate, I'm going to shift your focus over here at the more positive thing. Did Bob Iger do that? Did he shift? Did he lie by omission, so to speak? Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. Is that unusual though in this? No. In this financial community or whatever in Wall Street or Hollywood?
I was just going to say, you can get any one of those Wall Street people. They would do the same exact thing.
You get Brian Roberts, the head of Comcast. You don't think he ever lies by omission or sort of redirects or has you focus on that instead of this? Of course they do.
Little Zazzy.
David Zaslav. Oh my gosh, man, that guy's a disaster. Like, he is the worst, absolute worst. I feel bad for Warner Brothers right now, to be honest with you. But it's just the game. It's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
I do have a question for you. Do you think, like, for you, where does the line draw where you think that Disney oversells, like, on their pricing to where you feel like, okay, this is something obviously that they have to do as a company? Like, where is the line drawn for you? Like we always say here on the channel, like, with them doing Pandora and Coco and Monsters Inc. and Villains and Cars and Tropical Americas and all that. So obviously, by all those projects, Disney has to make back the money somehow. So obviously, there goes prices up on tickets, on hotels, what have you. So we kind of see that. But do you think that there's a fine line between where Disney over exaggerates that power? Or do you think that's just, it's just business? Yeah,
it's business. Disney is going to go as far as they could possibly go if people are still going to give the money. So if they raise the Magic Key, the top tier Magic Key, to $2,500, and it's still selling the same amount as it would when it was $1,700, they're going to make it $2,500. Yeah. The problem with Disney is that it's like it's like a religion to a lot of people. So people will complain about it, but they go and they just, I'll just pay it. I'll just go into debt and just do it anyway. And that's why Disney doesn't ever really adjust. They don't have to. People line up no matter what. All the bitching and moaning on X doesn't matter. It doesn't. Disney doesn't care about any of that. If you are complaining on X or social media every day about Disney, but you're still in the queue, lined up to get the next Magic Key and to renew your pass and to buy Oogie Boogie and to do all, Disney's like, cool, you're a customer. You can say whatever you want on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
at the end of the day, they still get your money.
Exactly.
That's all they want.
That's all they want. People don't vote with their wallet enough, and that's the problem. So Disney will continue to push as long as people continue to buy. When it really drops off, then you'll start to see major changes. But
do you think we'll ever get to that point? Do you think there will ever be a time where people all at once, it's like, whoa, this is even way beyond what I can afford. I can't do it anymore.
If Disney gets super egregious and they just do a crazy jump, yeah, maybe that could possibly happen where people just literally just can't do it anymore. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. They've raised these prices. They've raised the keys. They raised the tickets. They raised all of this stuff. They've even introduced paid Fast Pass, paid Lightning Lane. People did that anyway. They complained about it, but they still do it. I just, it's crazy to me, the brand loyalty here.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. People would go into debt to go to these places. I mean, when you're in that position as a brand where 45% of people are admitting they're going into debt just to experience your thing, that's crazy to me, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's wild. But now legally, I talked about this with Seymour Duck on a recent video for members. We were debunking the grifters. There was a couple grifter videos that we were debunking where they were like, well, another creator was debunking them and we were reacting to that. But legally though, Disney cannot lie on an earnings call.
Correct.
So what Bob Iger did in this example, he wasn't lying. He was just leaving stuff out.
Correct.
Right. So he wasn't. So, but Disney can't lie and say, well, we made $15 million on this thing when they really only made $7 million. They can't lie. Legally, they will get in huge amounts of trouble if they did that. So I just want to make that distinction here. So there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there where like people think that like, you know, Disney gets up there and they like, you know, lie and fudge numbers on these quarterly earnings calls, and they legally cannot do that. Okay. Now what Bob did in this case was more of a kind of like a sleazy car salesman sort of redirect, like Provost was saying.
Yeah.
Like he's just stating the facts for one little thing,
but he didn't like over exaggerate the rest of it.
No, he didn't lie and say like, you know, he wasn't misrepresenting the truth. He just left a lot of this other stuff out and only focused on one truth, but he didn't like make shit up or like give you like straight up like false information, you know, and that if they do that, that's illegal. That's like, you know, fraud, potentially like a stock manipulation, because whatever they report on could potentially impact the stock. And if they're reporting on fake numbers, that's a huge no-no. So yeah, Disney does not lie in their earnings calls, but they can do this where they just say, hey, look over here, pay attention to this instead. You know, they can do that. That's not lying, technically not lying. But the Italiano, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55. Let's hit this corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
There we go. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything that we talked about today. Fantastic content creator, Provost Park Pass. Check him out on YouTube. Subscribe to him if you haven't already. Show him all the love. Tell him that OG55 and the Italiano sent you. And he's a good dude. He's a really, really good dude. We like him a lot. We actually hung out with him a little bit at the parks a couple of years ago. Really funny guy. But he is the king of dad jokes. 1,000%.
He really is.
The king.
Like when it comes to like dad and corny jokes, like he comes up with the most clever ones. Like obviously corny dad jokes are like, so like, you know, off the wall where it's like, oh my gosh, like that is like one of the weirdest things I've ever heard, but it works. But he comes up with like the best ones. Like, yeah, he's the king of it.
He nails it every single time. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Comment down below. We would love to hear from you. And until the next time, see you.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.